welcome back to Book Talk with Meg. My name is Megan for those of you who don't know. Hi, welcome, hope you stick around. If you decide to, do not forget to click the subscribe button down below. It will notify you when I upload new videos. Today I am here again with another Tuesday book review video where I review overhyped books that I feel don't have enough hype, and just new releases and other books in general. Today I am here with another book which I'm super excited to review for you guys because I haven't seen a lot of hype towards this book, and the author of this book is one of my all-time favorite authors. She has only a few books out, but I think she's very much worth a read. So without further ado, let's hop on in. The book I want to review for you guys today is Meet the Sky by McCall Hoyle. She is the author of The Thing with Feathers, which last year was one of my all-time favorite books. It is a very gut-wrenching book, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We are going to talk about her newer release, Meet the Sky. Basically, this book is a YA contemporary. It is a story based off of a hurricane, and this book is 242 pages long. I am still debating between a 4.75 and a 5-star rating for this book, as I have very much enjoyed it, but compared to her work, The Thing with Feathers, it fell just a little bit lower in my opinion. This book follows two main characters, Sophie and Finn, and basically their story as they live through a hurricane. This follows the perspective of Sophie only. This is not a dual perspective book, which I feel could have been a good addition, but it is what it is. Usually this author sticks with a one perspective and not a dual perspective for her books. Basically what we know about Sophie in the beginning is that Sophie is going through some hardships with her family. Her dad kind of like has left town, and her sister is very injured due to a car accident, and basically Sophie has to take care of her sister as well as help her mom out with horses. Sophie lives on a small island, and the book really kicks off when a hurricane is announced, and the story goes from there. I think that I have never met a book that's sole plot was very much based on a natural disaster, and I think I really enjoyed it. It was something I needed to get used to, because a lot of the plot and what happens to the characters is based off the hurricane. So if you guys aren't comfortable reading about a natural disaster, this book definitely is not for you. It is maybe trigger for some of you guys, which I can totally understand if you guys have been something through like this, but I feel like it is a very interesting thing to read about, and it is especially interesting in regards to what it can do to people and how it can change people, and how very severe events can change your perspective on yourself and your outlook on life. Basically, to get this book started, Sophie is supposed to be evacuating with her mom, and then all hell breaks loose, as we can say, and Sophie is kind of left alone with this boy named Finn. And basically Finn used to be one of Sophie's best friends until they're not best friends, and he kind of moved out of town, and he just recently moved back in. So Sophie and Finn aren't super friendly towards each other, especially on Sophie's side, and they kind of have to stick together to go through this hurricane and help each other out. Throughout this book, we talk a lot about illnesses and death, and I think that this is our author's strong point, because she does like to talk about very relevant and poignant aspects of life, and our two characters, Sophie and Finn, have very, very different perspective on what it is to live, what it is to die, and how much we need to cherish life and how we see death. I think this is what I enjoyed most about in this book, the conversation about how our life experiences change who we are and how we see things. Sophie has had very much a difficult family life in the past little while, and I think that shapes her view of how death and illness is something that isn't beautiful, that isn't something we should see anything positive in, whereas Finn, who has also lived through a lot of things, kind of tries to tell Sophie that death can be beautiful and that we do need to live every moment of our lives to the fullest. And I think that this contrast between the two characters based on their life experiences made this book so very rich, and it is a topic that is seen throughout the entirety of this book. They both have different ways of surviving and coping, and obviously in a hurricane, surviving and coping is like the two most essential things you need. You know, you need to survive, and then you need to learn to cope with all the traumatic events that happened during the hurricane. This book is like a span of 3 or 4 days, and it follows our two main characters throughout the hurricane. And again, this book is filled to the rim with not like existential crisis questions, but you know, those things you don't really want to think about except when you're in a situation where death could be upon you. Like if you know, like I could blink my eyes and I could die in that kind of situation. And I think it is what made this book so amazing. Both of our characters were tough from the start, but they kind of get tougher through, and like more sensitive towards each other and more understanding of other people's situations as the book goes along. And I think this goes to show that sometimes life kind of needs to shake things up for you to be able to understand and kind of change your perspective on some things. So overall, I really enjoyed what the plot did for the story. Now, as characters individually, I did closely relate to Finn more than Sophie, which is not unfortunate in the sense that even though we get Sophie's perspective in the book, we can also understand where Finn comes from, and I think that's what I enjoyed most. I think I really enjoyed the positive outlook of Finn on his life and how life should be lived, and his relation with himself and the world in general. I related very closely to that, and I also really enjoyed being able to see how Sophie thought, because I am studying a field of work which involves trying to have empathy for other people, and I think that this book does this very well, in a sense that even though I did not agree with Sophie's way of living life, I could fully understand where she comes from. I think Sophie is a very much rational character, which we don't get a lot in YA. I feel like she is very down to earth, and she is very careful about her choices in life, which I think is a great thing to see in a main character. And she is also very family oriented, which that I could fully relate to. Sophie is very strong and independent, and she's really much trying to help her family through the situations they have to cope through the lack of workers on the farm and the lack of help for her sister's condition, and overall together that makes Sophie a very different and unique character in YA, kind of like Emily in The Thing with Feathers. Sophie is a strong character, family is a strong point in this book, and survival also, and I think this book is so unique. Like, I could talk about this book forever, but I don't want to spoil it. But overall, this book is something I'm definitely going to go back to. This is a short book, but a hard-hitting one. And I think that's the author's strong point, honestly. To use unique situations, which we don't see a lot in YA, turn them completely on their heads and be like, this is what can realistically happen. This book and her other book is all based on things that are so real and true and can happen to anyone at any time. And honestly, you guys, if you guys like contemporary but are like a little iffy about it because it's always so cheesy or whatever, I would definitely recommend this one, like 110%. This does not necessarily focus on romance, like not much at all, honestly. This focuses on survival, on family, on death and grieving, on how to move on and how to grow from your experiences. This is much more than just a little contemporary book. It focuses on so many other important things, and it leaves behind a very important message, and it is very unique, just like The Thing with Feathers, which I also recommend you guys read. So I won't go into too much more detail, but I do recommend you guys picking up this book. This is a very new release. It released in September, but I have heard nobody talk about this book, which honestly kind of aggravates me because this author deserves all the hype in the world. Both of her books are very unique, very complex, not too long, straight to the point, with characters that are lovable, and Emily even has a cameo in this book, which I was so happy about. Like, I am in love with their worlds and her characters, and I feel like you guys should definitely give this author a chance. Go to your local library, go to your local bookstore, buy it on ebook. I don't know, I just want you guys to pick this up so bad because I feel like this author is a very strong author and she deserves all the hype in the world. So even if one of you guys decides to pick up this book, I will feel very content and like my message has come across. So that's it for my video. Hope you guys have enjoyed. I will see you in my next one. Bye guys!